Hi, boys and girls. This is Grandma Sheilla, and I have another story for you today. It's called Easily Satisfied. Are you easily satisfied? Think about that during our story. There are two boys, one that was 7 and the other was 5, in our story. And it was getting close to Christmas time. You know, there's that time before Christmas when Mom and Dad are busy getting presents and things, and they're hiding them in the closets. Well, it was about that time. Well, Dad had gone to John and Charlie, and he'd said, "I'd like to talk to you boys for a little bit this afternoon. Could you come into the living room so that we could talk about what I want to talk about?" Well, John, who, being 2 years older than his little brother, he thought he knew lots, and he remembered what Christmases were like. Well, he thought maybe, just maybe, Dad wanted to know what they wanted for Christmas. Oh, he was so excited. Well, the afternoon finally came, and Dad went in the living room, and he sat on the couch, and he had John sit on one side of him, and little 5-year-old Charlie sat on Dad's other knee. And Dad looked at him and he kind of grinned and he said, "It's almost Christmas time." Well, John, he could remember lots of Christmases. He was 7. And little brother, he could remember some about Christmas. So Dad said, "You know, I thought it would be fun for you to each tell me something you'd like for Christmas." And he turned to John and he said, "You know, I'd like you to go first," being the oldest and all. So John, when he'd come into the living room, he'd brought a book with him. Now, this is a kind of book that probably most of you don't remember. But when I was a little girl, we used to get what we called catalogs in the mail. And the big stores set out big, fat catalogs. They were about this big and that wide, and they were about this thick. And anything that you could possibly want for boys and girls or for moms and dads was all in that catalog. Well, John, when he'd sat down on the couch, he had that big catalog, and Dad said, "What you got there, John?" And John, he showed it to Dad. The Sears and Roebuck catalog. Well, Dad said, "Is there something specific you would like in the catalog for Christmas?" Well, John didn't answer that right away. He opened the catalog to the first page. You know, the Christmas catalogs had all the present stuff. You know, the things that kids would like, the toys and stuff, are all in the front of the catalog. Well, John opened it to page number 1, and he looked at it for a little bit, and he pointed at something, and he said, "I think I'd like that." And before Dad could say any more, he turned to page 2, and he did the same thing. "I'd like that." And number 3, "I'd like that." And "I'd like this." And for the next half an hour, Dad didn't stop him. He went page after page after page through that catalog saying, "I think I'd like this." And when he got done, he shut the catalog and he set it down on the couch, and he was so proud of himself. Dad said, "Well, okay." So then he turned to little Charlie and he said, "Charlie, what would you like for Christmas?" But Charlie wasn't big enough to read a catalog. And he looked up at his daddy, and do you know what he said? He said, "I think that anything that you and Mommy would get me, I would like. And I'm sure that I could be easily satisfied." Well, that was a big mouthful for a 5-year-old. But Daddy, he was so pleased. He reached down and he hugged Charlie really tight. And he said, "What a wonderful boy you are, to be satisfied with whatever you might get for a present and not wanting lots and lots of things." Well, boys and girls, you know that the Bible talks about being satisfied with what we get and what we have. I remember a Christmas when I was a little girl, and we didn't have very much money that Christmas. But Mother, she wanted to make our Christmas tree look very beautiful. And so she started making ornaments by hand. And were they ever beautiful? Matter of fact, we used them for numerous years till they finally fell apart. But we were satisfied and happy. We didn't care if we had hundreds of dollars of ornaments on our Christmas tree. What Mommy had made was wonderful. Well, do you know that in the Bible it talks about when we go to heaven? Now, I've heard boys and girls talk about heaven. And there's lots of wonderful things that are going to be in heaven. There's going to be the streets of gold. There's going to be the tree of life with all those different kinds of fruit on it, one kind for every month. It's going to be full of things. It talks about Jesus having made us a mansion to live in. Wonderful, wonderful things. And He's going to give me everything I want to play with. But you know, boys and girls, just like you're happier here with what Mommy and Daddy have gotten you for a gift for your birthday or for Christmas, we will be very happy with whatever God provides us with in heaven. You know, I think there are people that would be perfectly happy if God had given them a little house, if they could only be in heaven with Jesus and see his face. Do you know, there's a Bible verse I'm going to read to you here that King David said. He said, "Because I have lived right," and David had, except for one time, and he repented of that sin for years. But he said, "Because I've lived right, I will see your face." And he's talking about Jesus. "When I wake up, I will see your likeness. I'll get to see what you look like, Jesus, and be satisfied." You know, that's from Psalm 17, verse 15. I think that God wants us to be satisfied with what we have. You know, there's a lot of people that live in rich neighborhoods that look next door at their neighbors and they go, my neighbor has a swimming pool. I should have a swimming pool. And then when they got the swimming pool, they weren't satisfied with that. They looked at the other neighbor and went, well, he got a new car. I should get a new car. And do you know what that kind of stuff is? It's selfishness when you want everything for you and you don't think about other people. You know, the Bible also says that you should think about what other people's needs are. You should take care of the poor and the needy. You should take care of that person that maybe doesn't have as good food to eat as you do. That's what satisfied means. Taking care of other people and being happy inside with what you have. Thank you, boys and girls, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.